And the moment you see yourself gaining, you see yourself growing, you see yourself making some progress, and it's almost like somebody walked beside you and just kicked the box from up under you, and you fell down. And you're like, what in the world happened? I mean, just getting hit back to back to back to back to back. That's not a good feeling. But let me tell you something. Don't be discouraged when things like that happen, because standing on the box probably wasn't the best thing that you need to do. So let me go ahead and give you my first tip for today. Move in silence. I cannot stress that enough. Moving in silence will allow you to avoid 99.99999% of that box kicking, because if don't nobody know you're standing on the box, then guess what? They ain't got nothing to kick. People just kicking and swiping in the blind. So number one, move in silence. I know y'all think that's just part of a Biggie song, but I'm telling you, moving in silence is good. And what do I mean when I say moving in silence? Does that mean don't tell nobody? Well, to be honest, it's been some things that I have done business-wise that I didn't tell. Between me and God, we was the only two that knew. That's it. Well, and the people that I was actually working with, like people who were doing the building, the painting, the contractor, people like that. Those are the people that knew. But so when I tell you to move in silence, that is on a need-to-know basis. A lot of times we share things with people because we're excited about the news. We're ready for things to pop off. We want to impress people. Don't lie. Don't lie. Don't lie. We all do it. We want to impress people, like our family members, friends, people that we know. We want to impress them, so we tell them about all the things that we have going on, hoping that they'll be like, wow, you know, that's awesome. Or that they'll jump on board and give us a lot of support. But we already know how that basketball bounce. Really, it's a little flat. That basketball a little flat. You bounce that and it's just going to ping. It ain't going to do none of this. It go ping. They be like, oh, okay, that's good. You be like, so what's big to you is not big to somebody else. Remember that. I told y'all that all last week. So anyway, so moving in silence will really, really help you stay focused in a lot of things. But more than anything, it'll keep you from being 100% disappointed. Number two, you know what you're working towards. Now, listen, when you want to avoid a do-over and when you have limited resources, first thing you need to know is, what are you working towards? What is it that you're trying to gain? What is it that you're trying to do in this situation? You got to know where you're going. If you don't know where you're going, and if you don't have any idea or clue in your mind, the direction that you're trying to take this thing, you'll be all over the place. You'll be all over the place and you won't get anything done. You'll look good, you'll look busy, but you won't get anything done. Number three, you got to write a plan. And listen, I know y'all are tired of hearing that people say, make a plan, write it down, make it plain. Listen, you have to write it down. And I'm going to give you the number one reason it's important for you to write this thing down. It's important for you to write this thing down simply because there are going to be days that you get up in the morning just like this, and your emotions are going to be out of whack for whatever reason. It ain't got to be nothing happening. Sometimes our emotions just go awry. Your emotions will be out of whack. Things won't be good or bad. You'll be in a very neutral place. And if you don't have a plan of action, you'll find yourself finding things to do. And those things might be elements of what it is that you're trying to build. But if they're not built in a particular order and in a particular way, you'll find yourself having a whole bunch of stuff done, but none of it comes together to make anything significant. So make sure you have a plan and be very detailed. I spend a lot of time when I'm planning things. I really, really do. I sit down and I chart my course out, and I'm becoming more detailed now than I was ever, because I'm finding that the more detail that I put in the plan, the more time that I invest in the plan, the less work I actually have to do when I'm executing it, because it goes seamlessly and flows seamlessly. Make sure you understand what your sole purpose is. Listen, S-O-U-L. You have to have a single-mindedness, soul, S. You have to have a single-mindedness about what it is that you're trying to accomplish. If you're trying to increase your finances, why are you trying to increase your finances? You can't, one thing I learned, saying I just want to be rich, I just want to have money, that's not enough. Because as soon as it gets hard enough, tough enough, and things start falling apart, you're like, well, you know what, I'm just fine, woman, I've been doing good right here. You'll give that up real quick. So you have to have your mind single-mindedness on one thing. You want to create a legacy for your grandkids. You want to support your mom, help pay bills. You want to buy a car. You want to buy a house. It has to be something very specific that you're trying to accomplish when you start your process of planning in order to expand your territory and avoid the do-over. See, this is a dual message. I'm trying to help you grow and avoid the do-over. Now, you can do it how you want to do it. This has just been a tried and true method that has not only worked for me, but has worked for a lot of people that I know. I mean, even when you look at people who are online, famous people, this is typically a real basic plan that they followed to achieve their goals. So you have to have a single-mindedness. You have to know, I want to be this or I want to be that. You have to keep your mind. You know, having a whole list of reasons sound good, but that one thing that stands out amongst everything is the thing that's going to keep you motivated and keep you focused on what you're doing. I have a single-mindedness about my business. I have a single-mindedness about my online business. I have a single-mindedness about how I handle my children. I have a single-mindedness how I do anything in life. And those single-minded thoughts is what keep me focused. When I look at friendships, I understand my single thought when it comes to friendships is that friendships are worth more than money. Sometimes money can get depleted, but with the right friendships, you'll never be broke. Facts, truth, always the truth. So I keep that in mind when it comes to building friendships. When it comes to money, I understand that I have grandchildren and children. I don't want my kids to have to work as hard as me and my mother, my grandfather, and all of us did. So my single-mindedness when it comes to my family, my kids, is to create an opportunity for them that would allow them choices that I did not have. Period, point blank. It's that simple. When I look at my business, I have a single-mindedness about that. So that soul, you got to have your soul purpose right. Number 2, don't overlook naysayers. The O, S-O-U-L, soul, your soul purpose. Be single-minded. Overlook naysayers. There's going to be a lot of people in your life, even people that you really trust, and even people who will give you a great reason why what you're doing won't work. Now, if they're coming to you with receipts and with results, then you probably do need to listen to them. But a naysayer is a person who don't have any information that can help you, or a person who don't have any information or the full disclosure on what is actually going on with you, and they just come and tell you that. And listen, let me tell you something. They come disguised as all type of people. I'm just going to lay that out there. I'm going to let you figure that out on your own. They come with all kinds of titles. A naysayer is not just somebody that you see who's sitting around and ain't got nothing. A naysayer can be somebody who is standing in front of you trying to guide you, somebody who call themselves your friend, somebody who's supposed to be a family member, somebody that you sit up under. They can be naysayers. Stop thinking that naysayers is completely pointing out to a particular person that looks a certain way. A naysayer can sit anywhere in any position, on any board, on any stage. A naysayer is a person who does not understand what it is that you're doing and they're making judgment. A naysayer, and let me tell you something, those little tricky words, be careful about them little tricky words, because they'll get you caught. See, they get half of y'all caught up because they tell you that it's coming from a higher power, or it's coming from here, coming from there. Be careful, because one thing he is not is confused. He ain't confused. If he told you something and somebody else telling you that he's saying something else, I'm gonna need you to just let that sit on the table for a little bit and make sure that you understand what it is. So avoid and overlook naysayers. You can't stop people from talking. You can't do that. But you can look at them and say, okay. Overlook them, because sometimes you can't avoid them. Number 2, you underestimating small gains will hurt you. Underestimating and underappreciating the small gains that you make in your career, in your life, in your business, that'll hurt you. Oftentimes we look for the big things to happen. We look for the big gains. We look for the huge amount of fanfare to happen when we have an accomplishment. But what happens when you start looking for those, all along the way, you're making small gains, but those small gains is really what help you get to the big gains. So don't underestimate them and don't undervalue them. Put a lot of value on your small gains. Recognize your small gains. I believe when I do something that's small, whenever I started my first show, 50/50, I started 50/50. I did 50 days going live every single day until my 50th birthday. I did it at 5 o'clock in the morning. Everything was 5, 5, 5, 5, 5. Boy, that was tough. It was hard. It pushed me. It made me do a lot of things. But this is what it did do. It made me appreciate that every single day that I got up, every single morning that I got up and did that 50-50 morning show, I celebrated it. Every single day. Some days it was just like, Lord, I don't know if I'm going to be able to make it. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do it. I don't know. And I think it actually ended up coming between 5 and 6 o'clock because of the time zones. I wanted to make sure that everybody can get into it. But here's the thing. It was very tough for me, but I celebrated every single day that I went live as a victory. And when the weekend came that I was getting ready, that I did my last one, it was something to celebrate because my party was that night, but I wasn't overwhelmed. So when you see people who win these huge victories at the Olympics on TV, when you see people who go through a process to win something, and you don't see them cutting cartwheels, you might see them crying or breaking down or being very, very humble. Understand this: these people have celebrated those small wins so that when the big wins come, they understand that they 100% deserve it. A lot of times you feel like you don't deserve the wins that you get because you haven't celebrated yourself in the small progress. You have to celebrate yourself in the small victories so that you can know that when you win big, that you really deserve it. So don't underestimate your small gains. And last but not least, love the process so it will be a one-way trip. This is how you avoid doing a do-over. Your sole purpose is to be single-minded, overlook naysayers. Don't underestimate the small gains because it'll hurt you in the end. But love the process so it'll be a one-way trip. What are you saying to me? You're saying, Mesha, what do you mean love the process? Listen, when I like to talk about weight because it's something that I have gone through, and I'm in the process of doing just a little bit more, just a few more pounds. But here's the thing. For everything that I've gone through when it comes to weight loss, as a kid, we had the grapefruit diet, eat egg diet, eat all kinds of diets. I mean, they got protein diets, carb diets, they got every water diet, they got all kinds of diets. But when I finally found something that works for me and that helps me to stay in a space that I'm comfortable, every time that I look at that scale or every time I look at a different size clothes that I'm able to put on, I celebrate that. I celebrate that, but I also love the process. In the midst of me telling myself that's enough to eat. Instead of me eating a whole plate of food and I'm eating half, ooh, shut up a whole Sunday. Ooh, this is for you. This is for you. This is for you. And I'm eating that half plate. I celebrate myself and say, you know what, you did well. Instead of when I get the soda, because I still love Sprite. I don't drink a lot of caffeinated drinks, but coffee. But I get that. And I take a few sips, and then I drink the rest water, and I have a full cup sitting there. I'm proud of myself. I celebrate those things, and I love the process because what I'm learning in that process is that I'm capable of making change. The way that you make a one-way trip on anything that you're doing in life is to take time to look at the steps that you're going through, is to take time and look at the sacrifices that you have made in order to do it day to day, day in, day out. Love that process. Love that process because that process is a lot of learning in there. A lot of times you go year to year to year. A lot of people, and I'm going to get off here, a lot of people talk about tax season because tax season is a time that a lot of people are able to take a breather. That's what I call it, because you don't necessarily get ahead with the tax money because it's something that you take and a lot of people go pay a lot of bills. It's what I call dead money. And what I mean by dead spending money is most people take their tax money and spend it on dead things. And when I say dead things, they spend it on things that can't generate more money. Now, if you buying a car during tax season and you're improving your ability to be able to get back and forth to work, well, that's a live investment. That's a live investment because what you're doing is you have invested your money in something that can help you generate more revenue. Or if you take your money and you put it into a CD, you're putting it in something that's going to allow your money to make more babies and make more grow. But when you take that money and and you spend it on new fits. Well, because you want to drip and look good in front of people, that ain't necessarily gonna make you money unless you're somebody who's wearing it to a social event. You might meet people and get a connection. So that right there can be a slippery slope. But you already know what you're buying clothes for, or you going out to eat. You're going out to eat. You're taking all these trips. You're doing all this crazy stuff that can't generate you more money. You'll find yourself having to redo it, and this time next year you'll be in the same situation. Same thing with the dieting. If you've tried to lose weight and you've tried to diet before, or you tried to save money, and every time that you've tried to save money, you know that it's always that particular situation that'll come up. You have to plan for that thing. You have to realize that saving money does not mean that you're not gonna have hiccups and bills and things that come up. That's not what that means. Don't think that nobody, and every person that you know that has ever saved a dime has had to make the choice to not mess with that money regardless of what they're going through. That's how they were able to accumulate that. Not because they had goo gobs of money, because you can have as much money as you want, something to still come up to snatch that money out your pocket. You can have $100 saved up, a $110 bill will come up to snatch it out of your pocket, or you can have $25,000 saved up and you'll have a $30,000 problem that'll come up to snatch that out your pocketbook. So it don't matter how much money you have, it's your mentality. You got to get your mentality in the space that you understand, I'm not trying to do this over again. So I'm going to have to make some concessions here. Avoiding the do-over is not as difficult as you think. But we'll do this part 2 tomorrow. You most definitely have to plan for it. You have to be detailed. You have to seek wise counsel. Listen, some of you got counsel, y'all got mentors, y'all got people you can reach out to right now. But you do not reach out to them for whatever crazy reason. And so you're out here making plans, you're moving in silence, but you don't have the information or the guidance to help you move the way that you want to move. And you have to put your pride down. Listen, if they don't work in your industry, if they've never worked in your industry, walk easy when it comes to letting that person be the sole person trying to direct you. Because I will certainly tell you this, business is business. But I would have to go back to school to learn how to run a construction business. Because there's a lot of ins and outs that make a difference in those things that I don't know. When it comes to the beauty industry, I got that hands down. Going to sleep all day. But you have to put yourself in a position where you can move forward, where you can get the advice that you need and get the understanding that you need. And you got to be ready to invest in yourself. Listen, you don't get to a place where you're expanding your territory and where you're not making a do-over and not investing in yourself. You're going to have to invest in yourself somewhere. You're going to have to do that. So anyway, guys, we'll take this back up tomorrow. Thank you so much for jumping in this morning for your Morning Mojo. Make sure you go to my YouTube channel and subscribe, and you can find me across all social media, Facebook, Snapchat, Instagram, LinkedIn, and YouTube. Make sure you subscribe to my channel. Thank you so much for coming. Keep yourself motivated. Keep your optimism up. Be joyful. And let me tell you something. Don't ever be afraid to ask for a little help. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.